The doorbell rang at absolutely 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I wasn't assured anyone, abnormally not at an hour aback best bodies were still asleep, but I affected it ability via delivery. Instead, continuing on my balustrade was a middle-aged woman with blonde, accent hairstyled in that unmistakable, "Can I allege to your manager?" cut, clutching a clipboard adjoin her chest like it captivated classified documents. Afore I alike managed to say acceptable morning, she gave me a apathetic, judgmental brows from arch to toe. "You don't accord here," she declared, her articulation decrepit with an ascendancy she absolutely hadn't earned. She broke her pen acutely on the clipboard. "This is a admirable adjacency with standards. I allegation to see affidavit of affairs immediately." I blinked, still befuddled and confused. "Sorry. And you are?" "I'm Karen Wilson, Admiral of the Meadowbrook Estates Homeowners Association," she said with a complacent smile, affirmation every chat of her appellation like she was announcement royalty. "And you are acutely too adolescent to own acreage in this development. Our covenants are absolute specific about absorption, the appearance of our community." I started to explain that I had aloof confused in an anniversary ago, but she broken through my book like a knife. "Save it. I've already filed the boot paperwork. You accept 30 canicule to abandon the bounds afore acknowledged activity is taken." She shoved an area of cardboard adjoin me. "Consider this your official notice." I stood arctic in place, abashed into blackout as she spun about on her heel, but she couldn't abide one aftermost jab. "Abutting time. Do your analysis afore clearing in addition else's neighborhood." What Karen didn't know, what she couldn't alike activate to imagine, was that not alone did I accurately own this house, but I had paid for it absolute in abounding and in cash. Her accusations weren't aloof aggravating. They were potentially illegal. I bankrupt the aperture boring and leaned aback adjoin it, the declared apprehension abashed in my hand. This was not at all how I had cool alpha my adventure as a homeowner. My name is Jason, and at 26 years old, I had aloof able article abounding bodies anticipation was impossible. Affairs my aboriginal home absolutely debt-free. It hadn't happened overnight. Afterwards college, I had lived with my parents for 4 years while alive accidentally as a software developer. I adored religiously, invested smartly, and lived far beneath my means. Oh, a bashful 3-bedroom home in Meadowbrook Estates, hit the bazaar at a decidedly reasonable amount due mainly anachronous autogenous decor. I jumped on it. The agent was an aged man who had confused into assisted active and his ancestors' capital a quick, no-nonsense sale. My all-cash activity was absolutely what they were acquisitive for. No costs delays, no accommodation contingencies, aloof a clean, simple purchase. Within 30 days, the keys were in my duke and the accomplishment was in my name. But instead of a balmy acceptable from my new neighbors, I was met with apprehensive glances and hushed conversations. Karen allegedly had taken it aloft herself to become the adjacency self-appointed gatekeeper, and a 20-some distinct guy didn't fit whatever ideal she had in her head. From the minute the effective barter pulled up, I saw her ambuscade beyond the street, demography photos with her buzz and afraid her arch like I was blurred acreage ethics by existing. I told myself it wasn't account affirmation over. I had added important things to anguish about, like ripping bottom ward the floral kitchen wallpaper and replacing the avocado blooming bath fixtures. I ample Karen would eventually relax already she saw I was a quiet, amenable homeowner who mostly kept to myself. I couldn't accept been added wrong. 3 canicule afterwards I confused in, the acquiescent advancing attack began. Aboriginal came the addendum printed on official attractive HOA card accusatory that my debris cans were arresting from the street. They weren't. Then she claimed my backyard bare absolute absorption alike admitting I had mowed it the day before. Abutting came the apathetic drive-abies. Karen would edge accomplished my abode in her white SUV, slowing to a clamber while snapping pictures of violations alone she could see. Your anniversary decorations allegation be accustomed by the committee. One agenda read, I hadn't put up any decorations. Parking on the artery brief is prohibited, warned another. My car was in my garage. Things escalated bound aback. She began cogent added neighbors that I allegation be active some affectionate of actionable operation. How abroad could addition his age allow this house? I overheard her adage to an earlier brace walking their dog accomplished my driveway. He's apparently ambidextrous drugs or active a bank ring. I've declared the authorities to investigate. 2 weeks afterwards her antecedent visit, a manila envelope appeared in my mailbox. Inside was an declared official apprehension of noncompliance claiming I abandoned HOA bylaws apropos minimum age requirements for homeowners. According to this cool document, Meadowbrook Estates was a 55 additional association and I had 30 canicule to move out or face acknowledged action. This was outrageous. I had thoroughly advised the HOA abstracts of 4 affairs and there was no age break at all. Meadowbrook was a approved Berghall neighborhood, not a retirement village. I anon declared my absolute acreage attorney, who accepted absolutely what I already suspected. Karen is authoritative this up, he said firmly. Document everything. If she's filing apocryphal claims, that's aggravation and possibly fraud. That evening, I installed Aegis cameras about the property. If Karen capital a war, I was added then accessible for it. The breaking point came 3 canicule afterwards. A back Karen marched up to my aperture with 2 added HOA Lath associates abaft her. I accustomed one of them as the acquaintance who lived 2 doors down, who at Atomic had the faculty to attending embarrassed. We're actuality for a acquiescence inspection, Karen declared. Attempting to boost her way accomplished me into the foyer. I stepped forward, blocking the doorway. You allegation to accomplish an arrangement and accommodate able allotment for that, I said firmly. Karen's face angry, a blotchy adumbration of red. As OLA president, I accept every right. You accept the appropriate to accomplish absolute bylaws through the absolute channels. I cut in, befitting my articulation controlled. What you don't accept is the appropriate to access my clandestine acreage afterwards permission or ad lib rules that don't exist. I pulled out my buzz and opened a PDF. I accept the complete HOA agreement appropriate here. Please point out area it says there's an age break for homeowners. The acquaintance from 2 doors bottom ward aback frowned and looked at Karen. I've lived actuality 15 years. Karen, there's no age restriction. Karen's adenoids flared. New alteration anesthetized after most month. Amendments crave a 2/3 majority vote from all homeowners, I replied. I never accustomed any election or apprehension of such a vote. I angry to the added Lath members. Did either of you? Their afraid blackout told me everything. Now, I said, aperture the aperture added in a bright dismissal. I'd like all of you off my property. Any approaching advice needs to be an autograph and based on absolute HOA regulations. I captivated up my buzz and for the record, this absolute alternation has been recorded audio and video. Karen's announcement askance with fury, but she backed away, about boring the addled Lath associates bottom ward my walkway. As they left, I heard her complain venomously, "This isn't over." She was right, but not in the way she thought. The abutting morning, an official attractive Canton boot apprehension was taped to my door. My beating acicular as I ripped it down, but afterwards analytical it closely, I declared the Canton clerk. The certificate was absolutely fake, filed beneath Karen's name with coin credentials, claiming she had acknowledged ascendancy to accomplish evictions. The agent articulate abashed and anon transferred me to the prosecutor's office. This wasn't a aloof acquaintance ball anymore. Karen had beyond absolutely into bent territory, and I had no ambition of absolution at go. I aggregate every allotment of affirmation I had. The affected HOA violations, Aegis footage of Karen trespassing, the bias boot notice, and emails from neighbors who had been targeted by her before. The prosecutor was abnormally absorbed in the coin Canton paperwork. Impersonating an accessible official and filing counterfeit acknowledged abstracts are austere crimes. She told me, "We booty this absolute seriously." Within days, a abounding analysis was underway. What they apparent was added abominable than I expected. Karen had been alleviative the HOA like her claimed commonwealth for years, creating affected rules, arising crooked fines, and breach HOA funds into her own accounts. She rarely captivated Lath meetings, bogus minutes, and afraid several homeowners into acquiescence with threats agnate to the one she'd acclimated on me. Badge acquired a accreditation to chase Karen's home office. Inside, they begin folders on about every citizen absolute claimed advice she had no appropriate to have, as able-bodied as templates for affected acknowledged documents. Her computer appear artificial signatures from added Lath associates and doctored banking letters meant to adumbrate her embezzlement. 2 weeks afterwards, I contacted the county. I was alive from home, a backbabble erupted outside. I looked out the window to see 2 Badge Admiral convoying Karen out of the HOA appointment in handcuffs. Her face was askance in abuse as neighbors emerged from their homes. Eager assemblage to her downfall. "This is ridiculous," she shouted as the Admiral led her away. I was absorption, our adjacency from outsiders and freeloaders. Aloof wait. Acreage ethics will blast if we let anyone move in. No one stepped advance to abutment her. Instead, blackout abounding the street, followed by acclaim from several porches as she was placed in the back of the convoying car. Karen was answerable with assorted counts of fraud, forgery, impersonating accessible official, harassment, and abstraction of HOA funds. Her bond was set at $50. Oh, she didn't accept because she absolute best of her savings. Advancement, the apparition of wealth. She acclimated to alarm anybody else. The abutting homem I abounding was the adverse of what I'd expected. Instead of hostility, I was greeted acquiescently with several neighbors' answer for not continuing up to Karen sooner. The acting Lath president, a retired adjudicator who lived at the end of the street, pulled me abreast afterward. "We could use addition like you on the Lath to advice carbon the bylaws," he said with a smile. "Your absorption to detail and compassionate of the regulations would be invaluable." As the affair ended, the adjudicator leaned in slightly. There's article accurate about all this. The abode you bought, Karen approved to buy it 5 years ago, but her mortgage appliance was denied. She never got over it. I stood there abashed as the accuracy clicked into place. All of her rage, all of her harassment, all of her attempts to force me out. It all stemmed from annoyance over the one affair she couldn't have, the abode I now owned. Karen was eventually bedeviled to 18 months in Bastille for artifice and abstraction forth, with an adjustment to pay $50,000 in amends to the HOA. Aback the book was read. Her anxiously crafted bluff burst completely. "This is absurd," she shrieked in the courtroom. "I was advancement standards. This association will abatement afar afterwards me." The adjudicator artlessly added a antipathy of cloister allegation as Admiral led her away, still insisting she was the absolute victim.